In our textbook, The Science of Mind, Ernest Holmes wrote, "Irritation, vexation, and confusion go hand in hand to rob a man of his birthright to peace, comfort, and unity." That's a powerful statement, and it says an awful lot in just one sentence. To me, what this is saying, in my own shirt sleeve English and my words, is that it makes no sense to have this all-powerful, all-wise, all super intelligent, infinitely creative thing to make this world, this cosmos, the entire universe, this thing that made all of this, to put man in it for him to be miserable, for him to have lack and limitation and face all of these things. Now, this infinitely wise thing was infinitely wise enough to give this creature we call man free choice. And unfortunately, some of the choices we make create that lack and limitation, create that misery, create all of that. But our nature of who we truly are is not one of misery. We're not here to do that. So I have recrafted Ernest's words, perhaps to be a little more modern or inclusive. And so what I have come up with is guilt, shame, and worry go hand in hand to rob a person of their birthright to happiness, joy, and wholeness. Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming out. It's great to see everybody here today. Thank you so much for coming out. And I have to share with you, as the service was unfolding, I was secretly sitting there hoping that Christina would ask the practitioners to stand up, because I really, really wanted to stand up so I could turn around as I'm sitting there, and I couldn't crank my, I could hear this male voice, and I'm thinking, damn, that guy can sing. Whoa, what in the world? So she, and of course, Kevin and Rochelle, thank you for joining with us today. And that's great, because the voice lifts us up even if it's behind us. And we don't know who it is. But thank you for coming. Also, I want to put out a shout out to Ann and Carol watching from Lakewood, Colorado today. So welcome. Okay, look at all that. The title of my talk today is Embracing Joy. No, it's not the dog. A better description of the talk might have been roadblocks to happiness in your life and how to get past them. I'm such a creature of habit. We used to have CDs, and your talk titles had to be short because you couldn't write all that out on a CD. Poor Bob would have had writer's cramp trying to get all that done. So my talk titles are short, Embracing Joy, but I do want to talk about the roadblocks to our happiness. There are beliefs and behaviors that keep us from feeling our best. Thought patterns and limiting behaviors affect our happiness and our fulfillment. And there are three ways that I have identified that are those roadblocks. They are that unholy triumvirate of shame, guilt, and worry. Number two, not taking action in your life. And number three, comparing yourself to others. And I'm going to go off topic a minute. Every single song this morning, Aaron, supported a major point in my talk. I don't know how you do it, but that was absolutely awesome. One of the ones that I was taking action. And so what does she have for the first of the things? Treat and move your feet. I mean, it was awesome. Okay, 3 ways that we block. Shame, guilt, and worry. Shame and guilt are examples of living in the past. You can't go back and change it. No matter how much. You can't change it. It's already done. It's already happened. And worry is focusing on the future. Worry is focusing on what you don't want. And if we subscribe to this philosophy and we believe that our thoughts are creative, guess what? The more you worry, the more of what you don't want is what you're creating. So let's just skip the worry part. The key is to stay focused in the present moment. Tamika Lewis, who is a clinical director at the WOC Therapy in California, advises the use of the Hawaiian technique of ho'oponopono. Ho'oponopono. And we've done this before. In fact, I even once upon a time gave an entire sermon on ho'oponopono. But I think it's relevant, and without getting too much into it, I want to practice it. What we're doing, what we try to do here is take these principles that we believe in and actually use them. And so we're going to do that right now. And it's a really simple step. It's 4 little things to recite. So what I'm going to do is I will say it, and then we can do it. We had Jessica up here. She could do her point thing. So I'm going to try and imitate Jessica. So I'm going to say it, and then you repeat it. I am sorry.
I am sorry.
Please forgive me.
Please forgive me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I love you.
I love you.
That was pretty good. You guys are pretty good. So if you do that 4 times, you can have a transformation within yourself. And it's just like Christina pointed out in that affirmation card. Prayer isn't trying to convince God to do something for you. Prayer is all about you changing. So we're going to actually put this to use. I'm going to have just a few minutes for you to think about a situation in your life where maybe you have made an error, where you have bumped into those feelings of shame and guilt and worry, or perhaps somehow you have been wronged. I want you to come up with some event or person in your life and just hold that in your awareness. Feel it. You can feel the hurt or the shame, the guilt. And we're going to do this 4 times. I am sorry.
I am sorry.
Please forgive me.
Please forgive me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I love you.
I love you.
I am sorry.
I am sorry.
Please forgive me.
Please forgive me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I love you.
I love you.
I am sorry.
I am sorry.
Please forgive me.
Please forgive me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I love you.
I love you.
I am sorry.
I am sorry.
Please forgive me.
Please forgive me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I love you.
I love you.
That wonderful gift from Hawaii can indeed change how we perceive our world and how we interact in it. Another way to deal with the shame, guilt, and worry is through gratitude. If any of you have had a session with me, you stand about a 50-50 chance that you would have been given homework to do, and one of those things would have been to express gratitude. You wake up in the morning and you come up with 3 things you're grateful for, and the last thing before you go to bed at night is 3 things that you're grateful for. Item number 2, roadblock number 2 is not taking action in your life. Examples: staying in an unfulfilling relationship. I see that so much. People, particularly women, are hesitant to leave a relationship even though it is no longer benefiting them. And they feel like they have to stay there. Another example is avoiding a job switch. Even though there's an opportunity over here for more money, better hours, more benefits, on and on and on. The list could go on, yet they stay tethered to their existing job. Another example would be not presenting an idea to others because you're afraid that you'll look foolish. Here's this out-of-the-box thinking, this that we all want, that we're all advocating, we want to go for, and there's people that are sitting on the box and not sharing because they're afraid that they're going to look silly or stupid. Siddiqui, who is a psychotherapist in New York City, identifies 2 broad areas of not taking action. One is procrastination. I'm pretty good at that. And there's a subset to that, and that is a belief that, oh, I'm needed here. I can't leave that job. I'm needed here. I can't leave that relationship because he needs me or she needs me. I'm needed here. The other is deflecting behavior. And I think this one is rampant among the certain professions, including ministers, practitioners, and that is focusing on someone else so you don't have to look at yourself. The last point on that, in terms of action, action may mean not taking any action. Action may be the lack of action, but it has to be intentional. It can't be an avoidance. It has to be, I am not taking action because this is what delivers to me my happiness, my joy, that which fulfills me. No matter what trajectory you take, you will make mistakes. Many, many, many years ago, when I was brand new at GE, I made a terrible mistake. I put too many zeros on the end of a purchase order for galvanized rigid conduit. And I was supposed, 2.5 inches, odd size. You very, very rarely use it. I was supposed to order 700 feet. I ordered 7,000 feet. And the Seattle office called and said, "What in the world are you doing?" And my boss said, "How dare you question us? We know exactly what we're doing." And they said, "That you realize how much weight that is?" Of course we know how much weight that is. That's how Don negotiated the freight rate. Okay. The day the conduit arrived, the trucker pulled up the front, and conduit, you can tell the sizes by the color of the end caps, and the 1/2 inch sizes are black. And there was flatbeds, and all I could think of, as far as my eye could see, I could see black end caps. I said, "What in the hell is that?" And I ran back in and I looked at my purchase order and I saw that extra zero. Oh boy. So I beat feet out and helped the warehouse unload all that stuff as fast as I could. And middle of the morning, the next morning, I got the call. It was the 2 big bosses. "Don, we need to see you in the office." Oh, shit. Well, looking for a job when I got this one. But they said something that I have carried with me today, and it was this: you really screwed up. Yeah, I did. But you know what? The only time you're not going to screw up is if you're not doing anything. So we want you to fix it as best you can. Negotiate that freight for a backhaul of all that conduit to the lower 48. Or try and sell all that you can here to every competitor. And then get back to work. Yeah. Whatever you do, you're going to make mistakes. We all are. We're human beings. You just fix it as best you can and move on. If you're not taking action or non-action because you're afraid of messing up, that's another form of paralysis. And I advise you to take micro steps. You don't need to solve the world's problems all at once. Take micro steps. The third roadblock is comparing yourself to others. These things are flying into my head after I'd already turned in the talk title and stuff to Jennifer to get put out, and then the talk's changing 100 miles an hour. The thing that blooped into my head first and stayed there and is still the best is social media. Whether it be Instagram or Facebook or whatever it is. I think that's, people don't tell about the uncomfortable things in their life. They don't talk about those. They only talk about the great things. And so many people send pictures of their food. I never did figure it out that way. But they don't show the stuff that doesn't look very good. A lady by the name of Siobhan Moore-Laban. She's a psychologist in New York City, author of the book, The Black Woman's Guide to Overcoming Domestic Violence. She wrote, "We don't often have a lot of access to people's most challenging moments, the natural ebb and flow of the ups and downs." And let me tell you, we all have flows of ups and downs. Madison Avenue. All of the advertisements that we're bombarded with, whether it be on television or on the internet or wherever it is, we are bombarded with things that are telling us how wonderful life could be if only we would buy that product. And we can be, they make us think that, wow, my life's really crappy. I'm nowhere near as good as that. And that is a trap to fall into. And another thing is the shoulds. And that's expectations of what your life should look like. The shoulds. And I'm really good at those. The examples I wrote down for this was, I should have done the laundry today. I should be further along in my career. The one that I'm repeating constantly right now is, I should have mowed the lawn yesterday when the grass was dry, and I hope it holds out, don't rain for a bit. I should have done that. Stephanie Donberg, she's a licensed independent clinical social worker in Nashua, New Hampshire, identifies some of the beliefs and behaviors behind comparing ourselves to others. Biggie is not having a strong connection with yourself. And what this looks like is outsourcing your own worth. When you outsource your own worth, your feelings about yourself come from other people and society as a whole, and they don't come from yourself. And linked to that is from not knowing your own strengths, limitations, and value. Not knowing your own strengths, limitations, and values. Before COVID, we at the center, a lot of us took the Clifton Strengths Finders. And I loved the idea of the Clifton Strength Finders because they never did talk about weaknesses. All it was your strengths, your relative strengths. There were 39 strengths. But they help identify where we are strong. And then it also identifies other people who are strong in areas where we are not as strong. And I learned early on, there's a lot of stuff I'm not good at all. So I have always tried to surround myself with people that are good at those things. It's important to understand yourself, which includes accepting your flaws and limitations. You don't turn a blind eye to them, but you don't let them define you. And then another little subset here that needs to be mentioned is we don't ignore deeper problems. Mental illness. It's really easy to turn a blind eye to mental illness. And it's important that we can recognize that. Depression. It's important that we recognize depression in ourselves and in others. And no judgment around that because it's ubiquitous. Once again, we go to Siobhan Moore-Laban. It can feel hard to be honest and vulnerable in a society that encourages a glass half full mentality. But when you push down deep-seated issues, you are actually harming your happiness. And our philosophy, we stress being happy. We stress positivity. We stay away from negative. We're always in that glass half full mentality. And that does make it hard sometimes, and it gives us the opportunity to push down those negative things. But that's not the way through it. A lot of us have faced grief in the last year. Really, it goes back even further than that, but a lot of people face grief. And my experience in grief counseling, the worst thing you can do is stuff it, because it's going to come out one way or the other, and it's going to come out when you least don't want it. So I advise people to feel shitty. It's good to feel bad. Experience that sadness, experience the loss, experience those feelings. Because when we stuff them, when we ignore them, is when we run into trouble. What to do when you find yourself comparing. Take small steps. Positive self-talk. Avoid the negative self-talk. I can't do this. I'm no good. Use affirmations. Our little affirmations that we pass out every week here are awesome. And I urge you to, number one, take it, read it, embody it. And if it really resonates, keep it for a while. But either way, eventually pass it on. Don't just save up a pile and bring them back, which is what some people do. And I guess it's okay. But it's also good for you to take that little affirmation, because it's got our name and contact information on the back, and leave it at a restaurant or in the doctor's office or wherever, where somebody is liable or likely to, what is this? Oh, wow, that's cool. You can do it. Try to do some things independently. So, I'm a big believer in teamwork, but sometimes it's important to do things independently. And you can develop a really big sense of self-worth and value when you can take a task from A to Z independently and do it all on your own. And then I invite you to create an intention when you wake up. Now, this isn't the usual thing that I tell people is to wake up and you affirmatively see your day and you plan your day out. This is not that. This is not creating a to-do list for the day or an action item list for today. This is creating an intention for the day. The intention, my intention this day is to be happy. My intention for this day is to be at ease. And set an intention of joy. Set an intention of calmness. Okay, it's time for me to go. One more quote from Siddiqui. Remember that even in your lowest moments, you have to be open to finding things that are good. And even in your highest moments, you have to be grounded enough to remember that everything is temporary and the ebbs and flows of life are normal. And so it is with this awareness of our inherent capacity for joy and happiness that I invite my colleagues, the practitioners, to join me in holding our congregation in love and in light, in peace and in joy. And simply know that as we go through this thing called life, there is indeed a power in the universe that is greater than we are, that has made all of everything, and it has made us to be happy, joyful, prosperous, living beings. And so as we experience the ups and downs, the ebbs and flows of life, we just simply know that we are greater than any condition. That the very Spirit which created us is eternal, and that very Spirit lives within each and every one of us, and so we too are eternal beings. We are greater than lack and limitation. We are greater than isolation. We are greater than any dis-ease. So we just give thanks for our awareness of our infinite nature. We give thanks for our ability to navigate this thing called life. So we just give thanks, we let it go, we let it be, and so it is.